कालीकूर्च समायुक्त माया कूडोपदेशतः प्रणवार्थप्रबोधिन्यौ नमामि गुरुपादुके श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः क्रीं मात्रे नमः नमः सदसे. Good morning to one and all. Today I am going to do a very special project, and this is one of the most important pieces of evidence that was leaked out of court by the media, and later it became public domain. This is the conversation, telephonic conversation between Lenin Karuppan, who is one of the prime accusers in the Aarti Rao case, and Nityananda himself. And this conversation is a call made by Nityananda trying to convince Lenin to come back and stop everything. But this conversation is in Tamil, so we will listen to that conversation. I will translate it and I will give my take and my analysis on what Nityananda is saying. There are many bombshells in this conversation that would need to be exposed. So let us see what has actually happened. And to give you some context, this conversation actually happened after Lenin left, before he went to the media. I think that was the timeline in which this conversation happened. So we will listen to that conversation in Tamil and I will translate it and explain it back to you in English. That being said, let us start. First he is saying, Dharma, this is Swami speaking, how are you? And Lenin is saying, I am good. And his name is Dharmananda, in case somebody does not know that. So what he is saying here is, he is saying, I will not cause you any harm, I will not do any harm to you. And previously you were protecting me and I was protecting you, and now you are afraid of me and I am afraid of you. The situation has become like this. And how can this happen? Shall we, how can we let this happen? We should not let this happen. So what he is saying here is, he is saying, I promise, I swear that this is true, I will not cause any more harm to you, and please forgive me. Satyama Manuchidra, please forgive me. Okay, so he is begging Lenin here, and there is something that Lenin is asking in the middle that is not clear. I will play that again. So he is about to interrupt. He is saying like, Swami, one moment, like that he is trying to say something, and here Nityananda is replying, please wait for a minute, they are carrying me to the hospital.
மன்னிச்சிட தர்மா, உங்க மன்னிப்பு கேக்குறேன்டா தர்மா. நடந்தது எதுவா இருந்தாலும் மறந்துடலாம் தர்மா, சத்தியமா.
So he is saying again, I apologize to you, I am seriously apologizing to you. Satyama மன்னிப்பு கேக்குறேன்டா, I am seriously apologizing to you, and let us forget whatever has happened.
நான் லீகல், நீயே லாயத்தை எழுதி அனுப்பு, நான் உனக்கு எந்த விதத்திலையும் ஆம் பண்ண மாட்டேன், நானோ தியானபீடமோ உனக்கு ஆம் பண்ண மாட்டேன்னு எழுதி கொடுத்துறேன் தர்மா.
So he is saying, you send your lawyer to me, I will give it to you in writing, neither myself nor the Dhyanapita will harm you in any manner.
வேற ஒண்ணுமே எனக்கு வேணாம் தர்மா. தர்மா இன்னொன்னு தர்மா, நான் வேற யாரையாவது ஹார்ம் பண்ணி உங்ககிட்ட அழுது இருந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்க காலலாமும் என்ன மன்னிப்பு கேட்கறேன் தர்மா.
So he is saying, it is not only for you that I am giving this, I am apologizing and I am willing to give this statement. If somebody has come to you and somebody has told you that I have harmed them, I will also fall at their feet. I will fall at their feet, I will prostrate at their feet, and I will ask sorry, I will apologize to them as well. So this is what Nityananda is pleading here.
ஒரு நிமிஷம் தர்மா, இன்னொரு செல்போன் அடிக்குது, யாரு பேசுறதுன்னு சொல்றேன்.
So now he is saying, the another cell phone is ringing, please wait for a minute again. Now so far what we can understand, is that, first of all, there has been some harm done to Lenin from the Sangha, for whatever reason it might be, and Nityananda is apologizing for causing that harm. So we need to understand that this itself is the clear proof that the party who is offensive here is not Lenin Karupan or Dharmananda. It is Nityananda and his Sangha that has been offensive from the start, and they have actually, from what I heard from interviews of Lenin Karupan, he has been beaten up quite a few times, and life threats have been made against him quite a few times by Nityananda and his Sangha. And when he decided to go out, all out, and when Nityananda realized that it is going to cause damage for him, he is apologizing and he is trying to make Lenin stop doing these things. So that is the gist of the conversation so far, and again he is apologizing. He is saying, I will not only apologize to you, you send your lawyer, I will give it to you in writing that I will not harm you anymore, and also I will make sure that if anybody has told you that I have harmed them, if anybody has come and cried to you that I have harmed them, I will also apologize to that person. I will fall at their feet as well. I am willing to fall at their feet and apologize to them as well. This is very, very pathetic going on.
அப்பா அதுங்க இல்ல ஒரு பக்கம் பார்த்தாரா என்ன இருக்கு. நான் ஸ்ட்ரைட்டா பப்ளிக்ல வந்து 2 அடல்ட்டுங்க, நாங்க எங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணுமோ எங்க லைஃப் அப்படின்னு நான் சொன்னாலும் முடிஞ்சு வச்சு டியூட்டி சுட்டு போக மாட்டாங்களா.
So he is saying, if I come in the public and if I say, Nityananda is saying, if I come out right now in the public, if I say it is a thing, whatever has happened in the video is a thing between me and another adult, then nothing can be done legally, and the devotees will not leave me. Underline this word, the devotees will not leave me, because this is very, very important in the future in this call. We need to do a important breakdown analysis of the confidence of Nityananda as to why he is saying devotees will not leave me, even if I come out and say yes, I had sex and I had sex with consent, and this is between 2 adults, it is our life, we are doing whatever we want. So even if I say this in public, my devotees will not leave me. This is what he is saying. Please underline that statement. Then
ஒரு பக்கம் பார்த்தா அது ஏன்னா சன்னியாசி ஒண்ணு நான் ஒரு ஞானிங்கிறதுனால வந்தாங்களே தவிர நான் வந்து ஒரு சன்னியாசிங்கிறது யாரும் வரல.
So he is saying devotees will not leave me because they came to me not because I am a sannyasi, not based on my status as a sannyasi, but based on my status as a enlightened being. He is saying people came to me because I am an enlightened being and not because I am a sannyasi. So even if I say I have had consensual sex with a woman, it is not going to affect the devotees, are not going to leave in any manner. So this is a very, very important statement because of one simple reason. That is, he is saying that he is an enlightened being and he is a sannyasi, and even if his sannyasa status is gone, his enlightened status will continue, and that is how his devotees will consider that. This is the meaning of the interpretation of the statement. Now let us see from the start to end, if he has only claimed that he is a brahmachari, or he is a brahmachari with or without brahmacharya control, he is simply an unmarried single man, and he is a spiritual leader, then most of the things that he has done in order to get money, most of the exploitations that he has done in the name of sannyasa, and most of the titles that he has claimed so far is not at all possible. Everything is built on his fake sannyasi status. He is calling himself a sannyasi. Based on that, he tried for Madurai Adinam, which did not happen. Based on his sannyasi status, he tried for Mahamandaleshwar, which did not happen. Based on that sannyasi status, he is claiming so many titles and taking over so many small Adinams and plundering their wealth. That is happening based on that sannyasi status, and based on his sannyasi status, he is giving sannyasa to so many people and plundering and taking away everything they have. Like if you want to become a Purna sannyasi, you have to give all your properties, everything that you own to the Sangha, and you have to go hand and mouth with whatever they are providing you after that. This is the rule for taking sannyasa, Purna sannyasa, also for Apat sannyasa. So now the problem here is, if he is saying people came to me not because I am a sannyasi but because I am an enlightened being, then it is a huge problem, because based on this sannyasi status so many things have happened, and he is confident that the disciples or the devotees will not leave him even if he is making these statements. And this confidence is not because of the love that the devotees have on him, but because of the foolishness of the devotees that he has cultivated in the followers. That is the basis, and that will come out a little bit more in the future. We will listen to more of this audio.
அது யாரும் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டாங்களா? அது யாரும் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க. என்ன இருக்கு, ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது, விவேகானந்தர் இருந்தப்பவும் நியோஜித கூடிய இருந்ததுக்கு அதிகமா தான் ப்ராப்ளம் பண்ணாங்க. அதனாலதான் விவேகானந்தர் உடம்பு வேண்டியதா போச்சு. ராமகிருஷ்ணனுக்கு அதிகமா சாரதாஜி கூட இருந்ததா ப்ராப்ளம் பண்ணானுங்க. அது என்ன சொல்றது, ரமண மகர்ஷிக்கு முதலியார் பாட்டின்னு ஒரு அம்மா கூட இருந்தது. மனிதன் இன்னும் இப்படித்தான் போல இருக்கா.
Aha, now this is the first bombshell. So he is saying, okay, 3 examples here. He is saying that they created same kind of problem for Vivekananda because he was with Nivedita Devi, and they created same kind of problem for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa because the Sharda Devi was with him, and also same kind of problem was created for Ramana Maharshi because there was a woman called Modaliyar Patti who was with Ramana Maharshi. Now, and he is saying, oh, the humanity itself is like this. இந்த மனிதனமே இப்படிதான் போல் இருக்குடா. I think the humanity is like this. So this is a very very wrong comparison at so many levels because of so many reasons. First of all, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharada Devi, okay, there could have been a husband and wife relationship between them because end of the day he is a grahastha and they are married. But as far as all the evidences and whatever history and legend we have about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, there is no such relationship between them. That much is clear. So, and also it is a legal relationship, that is not an illegal relationship. And Ramana Maharshi and Mudaliyar Patti, okay, that was a mother-son relationship because whenever Ramana Maharshi's mother was away from Ramana Maharshi because she was coming and going for some time, she was going back to Tiruchuri to take care of Ramana Maharshi's brother and others in the family. So when that was happening, the person whom Ramana Maharshi was entrusted to for making sure that the 3 times food was happening or 2 times food was happening per day was this person called Mudaliyar Patti, and that is a maternal relationship. So he, on one hand, he is taking a husband and wife relationship wherein there was no physical aspect to it, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and on the other hand he is taking a mother-son relationship, and he is saying people spoke bad about it. There is absolutely no evidence in Ramana's history that he was ever spoken of like this. There is absolutely no evidence in Ramana's history that he has been spoken of like this. Point number 1. That he has been alleged about sexual behavior. There is no record like that. He himself is simply saying this. Second thing, as far as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharada Devi is concerned, whatever else might be true, according to the society, he is the priest of that Kali temple. He is a grahastha. He is a married man. So who is going to say what? The whole premise is wrong. And the third example is the worst example because Vivekananda was very well known for one thing: celibacy. The brahmacharya dharma or the brahmacharya vrata, the naishtiga brahmacharya of Vivekananda, that is, if you ask any Hindu, okay, what is the speciality of Swami Vivekananda, first thing that he will say is he is a naishtiga brahmachari. And there is a statement in Tamil, this is a very beautiful statement that Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, the previous vice president of Ramakrishna Mutt, I had the opportunity to listen to him saying this, that Swamiji's quotes, he is paraphrasing that. He is saying, Naishtiga Brahmachariyin Udalin மீது வந்து வந்து மோதும் பெண்களின் உடல் மரக்கட்டைக்கு சமானமானது. This is what he is saying. He is saying the woman's body that is coming and touching a brahmachari, a celibate. Naishtiga Brahmachari meaning eternal celibate. He will never get married. The body of a woman that is touching an eternal celibate is like pieces of wood touching the body. So he is comparing pieces of wood, dry wood touching the body, to women touching the body of a celibate. This is a paraphrased quotation, translated and paraphrased quotation from Swami Vivekananda when he is explaining about his brahmacharya dharma. First thing. Second thing is, we need to understand what happened between Nivedita Devi and Swami Vivekananda. How did they come together, and how did a woman from the United States become one of the icons of Indian spirituality, one of the icons of the Sanatana Dharma, one of the icons of the Hindu revival movement, and one of the icons of the independent movement of India? How did this happen? Basically, this is the story that they say. This is the incident that they narrate. What happened? That is, Swami Vivekananda was in a meeting, and Sister Nivedita was also there. Nivedita Devi was also there. And what happened was, she was actually asking questions. And the question that she asked was, she stood up and she asked, a very young woman, she is standing up and asking to a young sannyasi, Swamiji, can I marry you? You need to understand the how this question is wrong in so many levels, but she asked that. And she is a very intelligent woman. Swamiji already knew that. When he saw her, he understood that she is an intelligent woman. So he asked a question. He did not say, no, I am a sannyasi, I will not marry you. He did not say anything like that. He asked a question, why? Why do you want to marry me? And she replied, I want to have a son who is handsome, virile, and wise and spiritual like you. I want to have a son like you. That is why I want to marry you. She did not say I love you or any such nonsense. She said, I want to marry you because I want to have a son like you. Now the reply of Swami Vivekananda has to be written in golden letters and preserved for eternity. This is the reply. Why do you want to get married, then have a son with me, okay, get pregnant and give birth? Why do you want to go through all this process? Okay, I will take you as my mother right now. You take me as your son right now. This was the conversation, and after this conversation happened, this conversation did not only happen on a verbal level, this happened on so many other levels that she left everything and came to serve Hindu Dharma in India. And in fact, if you look at Swamiji's history carefully, most of the work, most of the support that was organizational support that was given to Sashi Maharaj and others for forming the Ramakrishna mission and for forming the Ramakrishna Boys mission in Varanasi, all these things were done by Sister Nivedita. She was the person who was doing this, doing the organizational portion, and also she is the reason for the entire country becoming revitalized with Ramakrishna mission. And Swamiji Vivekananda was actually moving about, making lectures, raising funds and creating awareness. This was what he was actually doing, and also his health was slowly getting reduced, slowly getting affected because of diabetes and other reasons. Okay, so based on that, because he did not follow proper diet and other procedures, unfortunately it was not available for him in two places. One is in his youth, because of poverty he did not follow proper diet and other things, and also when he went to the US, due to unavailability, due to certain restrictions he did not have a proper balanced diet even there. So he had lot of health issues, which he himself is saying in a lot of letters to various people. Now what is happening here literally is this: one woman is accepting a Hindu sannyasi as her son, and this Hindu sannyasi is accepting that young woman, almost younger than him, as his mother, and that woman is leaving everything, coming to India to serve this sannyasi as a mother, and she becomes almost the surrogate mother of the entire ashram after Sharda Devi, entire movement after Sharda Devi. Not only that, there was a flag which was created for Independence India even before Independent India even before independence. And that flag was created by three women, three very powerful women. And these women were Madam Bikaji Kama and Dr. Annie Besant and Sister Nivedita. So I do not know where I read this statement, this article, but this note is there. I don't know whether it is from Subramanya Iyer of the Hindu and Sudesi Mitran, or whether it is from Bharati. I don't know, but the statement is there. He is saying Annie Besant is a scholar, so she is Saraswati, And Madam Bikaji Kama is a rich Parsi woman who has been funding a lot of extremist militant activities against the British government. She was supporting Vavesu Iyer, she was supporting Veer Savarkar, all of these people who decided to take the independent struggle to an armed level, to create rebellion inside the society. She was one of the major funding people for them. So she is Mahalakshmi. Madam Bikaji Kama is Mahalakshmi, and Sister Nivedita is Mahakali. So the flag of India was created by Mahasaraswati Annie Besant, Mahalakshmi Madam Bikaji Kama, and Mahakali Sister Nivedita. So I think this is Bharati's statement. I am not 100% sure. I will refer it and I will give it to you. I will give the proof in another video, but this is Bharati's statement. So he is saying these three Devis have come together to create the flag of India, and Swami Vivekananda is the son of this woman spiritually. She is the spiritual mother. There is already a spiritual mother to Swami Vivekananda, Sharda Devi. So he is giving Sharda Devi's position to Sister Nivedita. And casually this asshole, this bastard is saying they were also like that. They were also like that. This is what he is essentially saying. They were also having sexual intercourse. This is what he is trying to say. Let us take the three examples. A old woman who was the age of Ramana Maharshi's mother on one hand. That woman, he is saying people spoke badly about it. Second thing he is saying, a married couple, in the eyes of the society they are simply a married couple, and whatever they do or they don't do, how is the society going to question that? And third one is the most precious relationship that was created totally out of spiritual process, and it is so pure. Okay, so these three things he is taking and he is saying they are also like that. Like what? Like him and Ranjita in the video. That is what he is trying to say here. So this is a disgusting statement to listen to, and he will, and this is the proof that Nityananda will say anything. He does not respect anything, nothing is sacred to him, and he does not care about lying about anything just to save his skin in that moment. So that is the thing that we are able to understand so far. Moving on.
என்ன பண்றது? அதான் வேற ஒண்ணும் இல்லடா, ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம் பார்த்தா என்ன இருக்கு, பப்ளிக்கா நான் எந்திரிச்சு இது என் லைஃப் அப்படின்னு முடிஞ்சு போச்சுடா. இப்போ ஓஷோ இல்லாம இல்ல, ராமகிருஷ்ணன் இல்லாம இல்ல, விவேகானந்தர் இல்லாம இல்ல அரவிந்தர் இல்லாம இல்ல, அந்த மாதிரி ராம் சரத்குமார் இல்லாம இல்ல, எல்லாம் ஞானிகள் வரைக்கும் தான் வரேன். அவனும் என்ன பண்ணிட முடியும்?
So again he is saying the same thing. Previously there is a difference between these two statements. First he said people spoke badly about them. That is the nature of the world. What to do? Then now he is saying on one extreme, if I say that yes I had sex, I'm coming out in the public and I am saying this, then there will be no problems. There will be no problems. That is what he is saying here. And now he is openly saying he is saying who maintained celibacy. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa did not maintain celibacy. Vivekananda was also like that. Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar was also like that, and Aurobindo was also like that. See, as I told you before, now he is introducing two new names. One is Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, who never claimed himself to be a sannyasi, who never wore ochre robes in his life, and he was a celibate. There was no woman in his life whatsoever. I have never seen these kinds of accounts. I don't know where he is getting all these lies from. Probably his stinking ass. So I don't know where he is getting these lies from. So Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, there is not even a single allegation. I don't even know what he is speaking about. Total lie, baseless lie. And Aurobindo and the mother, once again, the relationship is asexual, first of all. And according to the society, he is a yogi practitioner, he is teaching meditation, he does not claim himself to be a sannyasi, he is only a spiritual person, and he is married, legally married with one woman. What is your problem? And he is comparing Osho here, and that is the thing. Osho was open about this throughout his life. He never hid the fact that he is he never said I am a celibate, I have never tasted women. He is clearly stating in glimpses of my golden childhood that his grandmother, his maternal grandmother, sent him to a brothel to experience what is this physical sex all about. He went there, he did not like it, then he came back. And later on, he is also speaking about certain sexual experiences that he had in his life. So he never hid this aspect to anybody. That is okay. For example, I can say I am going to get married and I am going to have children with a woman because I want to take up Grahastha Dharma. There is nothing wrong in it. And nobody can prevent me from speaking anything about spirituality or worshipping her by saying, no, you did not maintain celibacy. That is a different route. But wearing ochre robes, I will never wear ochre robes. Okay, maybe one or two of my jibbas are of that color. That is just a coincidence. I will not wear it all days. I will never, shave my head completely without leaving this. Okay, that is the sign of a brahmachari, and later on that will be the sign of a grahastha. I will never remove this. I will never remove my yajnopavitam or my sacred thread. I will maintain all these things throughout my life as a grahastha, and there is no claim made by me. If that is the case, that is okay. But if I am doing all of these things, if I am wearing the robes of a sannyasi, and later on if I am saying, no, it is my life, people will slipper you. People will beat you with chappals dipped in shit. That is exactly what Indian people will do, and that is exactly what Indian people did to Nityananda already. Okay, and now he is defending himself by saying Osho was like that. But Osho was open. You are not open about the entire statement till now. You are, and after this, only after this statement, they call this thing happened. I am like a 5-year-old child. All this nonsense happened, and it was proven wrong in the court. Okay, so moving on.
இந்த ரூமர் மக்கள் விட்டு போவாங்கன்னு தெரியல. மக்கள் விட்டு போக மாட்டாங்கடா. நம்ம மக்கள் என்ன விட்டு போவாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறா? ஹலோ நம்ம மக்கள் என்ன விட்டு போவாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறோம். ஆக வேண்டாம், இந்த பெரிய ப்ராப்ளம் எல்லாம் ஆகாம சைலண்டா இருக்கணும்னு தான் தோணுது. அதுக்காகவே தான் சைலண்டா எல்லாத்தையும் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நம்ம மக்கள் எவனாவது எமோஷனலா இருக்கும், அப்புறம் நாம தான் அதுக்கும் பொறுப்பாக வேண்டியதா போகுது.
So he is saying, he is asking Lenin, do you think people will leave me? Do you think our people, that is devotees, will leave me on this account? And Lenin is not answering anything for that. Then he is saying, I don't want this to become a big problem. I just want to close this issue silently without creating any issue, without going to the media or anything like that. I just want to close down this issue silently because we don't know if somebody who is emotional will leave us, and we will become responsible for them leaving us. That is the problem. Okay, for that Lenin is simply saying yeah, like that, just to keep the conversation moving. So far we can notice that Lenin has not even spoken one single word edgewise, one single complete sentence. Nothing has been spoken so far. This is only Nityananda saying and Lenin listening. That is all there is in this call. Now the problem here is, he is again saying, he is asking, people will not leave me, all these will not be able to shake me, I can come out in the public and say I had sex, it is my personal life. People did not come to me because I am a sannyasi, because I am an enlightened being. But unfortunately, Nityananda did exactly the opposite. He did not come out and say it is his personal issue. He did not come out and say that he is an enlightened being and not a sannyasi. Instead, he claimed to be a sannyasi. He said this is not a personal issue, this is a persecution on Hindu sannyasis. He is saying that till date, and he is based on that sannyasa claim. He tried to capture Madurai Adinam, as I described before. He tried to capture so many places with his sannyasi status, and he also gave sannyasa to so many people on this status and plundered them. So that is the problem here. That is, he will never do what he says. I will give that to you in writing. He will never do what he says. He will never say anything without being himself as the center of it, and he will say anything he wants to twist the facts to suit his current narrative, and even if that is against the yesterday's narrative, Niti doesn't care, because he so sincerely believes in the foolishness, in the idiocy of his devotees, that he can do anything he wants. And if you are giving this to him, Nityananda devotees, Rajashekara devotees, I am telling you, if you are giving this to him, it is worse than committing suicide. You are committing intellectual suicide, emotional suicide, and you are becoming bonded labor. That is my problem. That is the reason why I am standing out against him like this. Moving on, there is only a little bit more to the audio.
அதனால எல்லாமே சைலண்ட் ஆகணுமேன்றதுக்காகவே தான் இவ்வளோ உட்காந்து ஒர்க் பண்றேன்டா.
So he is saying, I am doing all of these things in order to close this issue silently. That is why I am working so much, I am trying so much. I don't want this to come out, I don't want this to be known to the public, and this should be completed silently. That is what I am trying for. This is what Nityananda is saying. Then, oh, is that the end of the conversation? Okay. So, that is the end of the conversation. Very beautiful. So, basically, what is there in this call? This is only a partial conversation, I suppose. Rest of it is in the court, and this got leaked. It came to public domain. That is why I am using it. This is not a court document which has been taken by me or anything like that. So right now, what has happened in this call is very clear to all of us. Nityananda is the party who has done the mistake here. He accepts that he had sex in this audio, and he also says that he wants to close everything without creating noise, without going public. And he says even if it goes to public, there is no problem, because Ramana was like that, Ramakrishna was like that, Vivekananda was like that. He is taking all the names of the pure saints of India, pure sannyasis of India, purest of the pure, and he is besmirching their name. He is desecrating their name just to fit his narrative, just to fit his reasoning right now. So that is the sort of despicable bastard that Nityananda is. That is also evident from this call. Thirdly, Lenin has not spoken anything, agreed to anything on the call. And fourth thing is, it is clearly evident that harm has been done to Lenin Karuppan before he released the video. So this much is clear from this audio. And this was a long request, actually long time request, because people don't understand Tamil and they wanted to know the full effect of this video. And these are my takes on this. And I also had the opportunity to speak about Swami Vivekananda and Sister Nivedita using in this context. So I am very thankful for that note to Kali. So that being said, we will end this video. दच्चं योरा वृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वञ्जिगातुवेशजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपते सञ्चतुष्पते आं शान्तिः 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 नमः सदसे श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः क्रीं मात्रे नमः।